Welcome to BRRRR and Beer, where we discuss part of the BRRRR strategy over a nice glass of beer. My name is CJ Calio with WNN Properties. We are here today at Kapalina in Innova Beach. Today's topic is vetting tenants. In the strategy called the BRRRR, there's a phase called rent. And this part is where we're going to find a tenant to now occupy our newly renovated property. And in my professional opinion, it's very important to have a good tenant that is looking to stay long-term so it can produce the return on your investment you were looking for in the beginning. Today with me is Shari Sodetani with Royal Realty, who's a property manager. Shari, what's a good tenant look like?
Well, on paper it's one thing, in experience it's another. So the main things that an agent would want to look for an investor doing BRRRR is for qualifying tenants that are going to pay rent on time, right? Especially with everything going on with the world, you want to make sure that the rental income is coming in because that's the purpose of doing the investment. The second thing would be is making sure you find somebody who's going to take care of the property. You know, we stress to the tenants to make sure when we go through the showing, look, everything's clean down to the baseboards, the switches, the ceiling fans, AC systems, everything, right? And to want to make sure that they understand that when they return the property back at the end when they move out, that the property is the same. The term wear and tear comes into play, which we can always talk about more in detail at another time. But in general, the property should be returned to you almost in the exact condition. The other thing we look for is for someone who's going to be a good neighbor, which means that there are not any incidents, no violations, HOA issues, those types of things. And in the end, we also really want to find somebody who's going to fulfill all the terms of the lease. So make sure you have a tight contract, make sure that there are agreements, that everyone knows what the expectation is. So at the end, if everything were done right, you have a good tenant who pays rent on time, takes care of your property, returns it back to you when they move out, hopefully over a long period of time. And at the end, we can actually return 100% of their security deposit, which means then for the investor, property's ready to go.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That is great. So as an investor, what would be a tip you would give somebody to help them understand what a good tenant is if they're vetting it themselves?
Okay, so experience is going to be something, people always ask me, how do I vet the tenants that I put in? A lot of it is just going to be based on experience. Experience from our standpoint, but also experience with the person. So technology is great, but when you can be belly to belly, person to person, see if a person follows your instructions on parking, whether they take off their shoes, how they interact with each other, how they behave and perform in the property, and also your experience in communication with them. A lot of it is going to be based on psychology, sociology. It really is looking at the person because we're all people. Paper is one thing, numbers, credit score, all of that stuff, income. We can have a high-powered, high-credit person who is renting an $8,000 property. That's the worst tenant ever. And you can have someone who's struggling, trying to get off their feet with a low credit score, but really appreciates the opportunity and is the best tenant ever.
Right. I guess the question will come down to, is it worth your time to take on this new task, or is it better to leverage somebody else like a property manager?
Right.
And I personally think property managers
always hire a professional.
Thank you, Shari, for the valuable insights. Now to the beer. Susie, what you got?
CJ, Shari, what we have here today is a Hop Island IPA. It's made by Honolulu Beer Works. So it's got pretty much of a punch here. It's got 7% of alcohol. It's really hoppy and it's really crispy when it goes down.
Sounds interesting. Please stay tuned for the next episode of BRRRR and Beer. Until then, to the BRRRR!
To the BRRRR.
Cheers. Cheers.